Hi, today I'm going to be teaching type 2 diabetes to my patient. Her name is Tremaine, and she is a type 2 diabetic. So, what I'm going to be teaching her today is about her medication, how to self manage herself, and also diet, exercise, stress, and the side effects of diabetes. So, today, Tremaine, your doctor had your doctor had sent me over a message saying that you was just diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. What is your understanding of diabetes?
Prior to diagnosis, I learned that diabetes is basically when the pancreas, or type 1 diabetes, is when the pancreas does not produce enough insulin. And for type 2 diabetes, it's usually when the cells don't process insulin.
Process the glucose. So the glucose in the cells are not processed.
Got it.
So type 2 diabetes is when the body is not able to use the insulin it makes. So it's not always able to move the glucose into the cells.
Got it. Okay.
And this is known as insulin resistant, meaning, your body is insulin resistant. And for type 2 diabetes, we look at your diet, we look at physical activity, we look at self management, we look at medications, and sometimes insulin. Today, you will be starting on metformin, which is the first line of defense for patients with type 2 diabetes. And when you look at metformin, some of the things you got to really pay attention to, and that's some of the side effects. But when we look at metformin is a pill that is used by some people with type 2 diabetes to keep the blood sugar from going too high. And I usually tell patients it works to suppress your liver, to keep the liver from giving you all the excess glucose that you're not able to utilize.
Okay.
Yes. And so when you take the metformin, some things you have to look out for is that it really causes a lot of GI, meaning gastrointestinal, diarrhea, abdominal cramps, and pain. And so it's normal, but if it goes over 3 weeks, then you need to let your doctor know. You need to call in and let your doctor know. But if it's, diarrhea, but when you get to the point of diarrhea, we're looking at watery stools, just pure water that's going through your system. So that's one of the big side effects. And once you notify your doctor of that, he will switch out your medication, because there is a medication called, it's metformin, but it's called XR, which is a sustained release, which you would take maybe 4 pills at one time before dinner. That
Okay.
will take care of you for the whole 24 hours, where you won't have to take it but once a day.
So,
But
I'm sorry.
go
I didn't mean
ahead.
to cut you off, but when you say this, do you recommend metformin in that case with all the side effects? Like
Yes, we
diarrhea?
do. And the reason why we do, because this is the best line of defense, and this is one of the drugs, diabetes medication, that won't cause you to gain weight.
Okay.
And that's one of the things, that's what we always look at when people are overweight. We want to make sure that we're not causing them to gain weight.
Okay.
Any more questions
No.
about metformin?
No, not
Okay.
with metformin, especially if it's something that's recommended.
Okay. And so medications are needed for some people with type 2 diabetes. Pills can help the body to utilize the insulin better. Insulin is required for all individuals with type 1 diabetes. Sometimes after we put you on metformin, we might, of course, add another medication, which is called glucoside. And that medication is like a short insulin, but we won't be doing that until we see how the metformin is working, along with your diet and your exercise. If it starts to lower your blood sugar, your A1C, which is the blood test that we test you with,
Okay.
is because metformin, because the A1C is the blood, is the sugar in the blood, and it's the sticky substance. As the red blood cells travel through the bloodstream, they pick up the sugar that's along the sides of the walls of the blood vessels. And that's what they're looking for when they look at your A1C. It measures how much sugar, how much blood sugar is stuck to the cells. And with your A1C, we usually have you to do a blood test, non-fasting blood test, every 90 days, every 3 months. And with that 3 months, then that will let us know, like your A1C right now is like 9.1. So if you stick to your medication remedy and also your exercise, then you'll be able to see a difference in your blood sugar on your next blood draw. You know, you could drop as low as 4 to 5 points. Okay?
Okay.
And another thing I would like to talk to you about is when we look at the diet. When we look at your diet, we look at how you're eating. And how we measure that is we measure that through carbohydrates. And carbohydrates is your starchy sugars and your starchy vegetables, all your bread, you know, all those types of things. So when we look at your diet, we're looking at you need to have a healthy plate. You know what the healthy plate picture is? You have a whole plate, your regular plate that you have at home, you divide it in half. Mm-hmm. Half of it is going to be your vegetables. And then you're going to cut the top part in half, where a fourth of it would be your carbohydrates, and the other fourth would be your protein. And so when you look at those, that's how we help you to count your blood sugar, your carbohydrates, and that's by reading labels. You know, so if you read the label and the label says, you always want to always look at the serving size. After you look at the serving size, you want to then look at the total carbs, if there's a total carb. If it's not, then you want to look at the carbs. So when you look at the total carb, that includes the fats that's in there too. Okay. So then when I'm saying this to tell you that when you have a meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it should be 45 to 60 grams of carbohydrates per meal. So then when we look at that, we can say, like, say today you want to have a steak, maybe 3 or 4 ounces of steak.
Or
you
more.
Or you want to have 3 or 4 ounces of steak, and you also want to have vegetables. So you want to pick vegetables that's not starchy or not has a lot of sugar in it. Carrots is one of them that has a lot of sugar in it. Corn is another very starchy one. Say today you'll have 4 ounces of steak and a salad. And then after you look at your salad, then you want to look at, say you want to have maybe some mashed potatoes. With the mashed potatoes, a half a cup of mashed potatoes is 15 grams of carbs. So I said you could have up to 60, but who wants 60 when you can have something else? So you could do maybe 1 cup of mashed potatoes, and then you still have enough to have 30 grams more of carbs. So you could use like a small dinner roll, or you could even have a small piece of fruit. And along with your diet, you need to eat every 4 to 5 hours. I usually tell patients go at 4.5. Look for food at 4.5, because after 4.5 hours, you after 5 hours and you've taken the metformin in the morning. Mm-hmm. Well, that metformin will turn the liver on. So it has 5 hours before it turns itself on, because the body compensates for itself. You know, one organ is not working and another organ pick up for it. So if the metformin is suppressing your liver and you don't eat for 6 hours, well, 5 hours you turn your liver turns itself on, and you check your blood sugar. You say, well, I haven't eaten. How is my blood sugar high? It's because you allow the liver to turn itself on and give you extra glucose into your blood. Okay. You understand?
Yes.
Okay. You have any questions?
So what foods should I eat?
So I'm going to be giving you everything I'm talking to you about today. I'm going to give you a handout and a booklet on food. Mm-hmm. So then that way I give you a list of the vegetables, you know, a list of the starches, the carbohydrates.
And also portions. Yeah.
Yes, the portions is very important.
Okay.
And then another thing, if you should run into, you should have 3 healthy meals a day, but you should have also 2 snacks. So with your snacks, you want to have 15 grams of carb, which will be a small piece of fruit and maybe a string cheese. You want to use the white cheese instead of the yellow cheese because the white cheese is dyed and it has a lot of fat in it.
Process.
Okay.
and
Yes.
whatnot. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Good to know.
Or either you can have the Ritz peanut butter crackers, the low pack of them. You can have one of those, and those are 15 grams of carbs.
I don't like peanut butter. What about the cheddar? Like the cheese?
Well, you have
mix?
to look at the carb contents because you're really looking at more fat than anything. Okay. Or you could do peanut butter and celery. You could mix up a bunch of things. But anytime you need me, I'm also going to give you my business card so you can call me anytime you need. You have any questions for me. Okay.
Thank you, Miss Jacqueline.
Okay. And then also I'm going to show you right now how to use the meter. Our meter is called the Vero IQ. So with the meter is basically when you take it out the box, it's already set up for you. So all you have to do is when you turn it on, you push OK, you turn it on. And once you turn it on, you see there's a history there, there's the pattern log and a setting. When the first time you turn it on, it will go straight to the settings to make sure the date and the times are right.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is really already connected. Here is June the 30th at 6:14 p.m. So then the next thing you want to do, there's 2 ways you could turn this machine on, and that's with pushing the OK button, or we could turn it off. And we'll just go ahead, and I'm going to let you do this. And you would take your strip, and you would take the fork side, the gold side, and put it in the machine, and it would turn itself on.
And it turns right on.
And it's right on. Okay. Now it says apply blood. So then the next step you want to do, you see the gold band right here across the strip.
Mm-hmm.
So you would go ahead and prick your finger, and this is your little prick monitor here.
Okay.
It has a trigger, so you just slip this on, pull the trigger back, and push the white button. You hear it pop. So, and then at the top right here, there is different depths for the needle to go in. Like if you hit it, this one says number 7. If it felt too deep, then you want to decrease it some. So what I recommend you do is when you prick your finger, you don't want to use the tips of your finger because those are the nerves. It's very painful, and that's when patients stop checking their blood sugar is because they check it at the tips, and it hurts so bad they don't want to do it again.
Got it.
So it's recommended that you use the sides of your finger on either side.
Okay.
And then what you do is you take your thumb and you press it against your index finger and try to push it that way to kind of numb it, deaden it a little bit. And then you go ahead and you prick your finger. You push and there it is. With that blood that's sitting right there, you don't have to do anything but bring the strip right alongside it and let the blood run onto the strip. Within 5 seconds, you have your blood sugar reading. So the average blood sugar reading that we're looking for when you wake up in the morning is 80 to 120. Before dinner is 80 to 120. Before bedtime is 80 to 120.
Anything
So,
that exceeds 120.
Yeah, so if you have, you're going to start on your medication tonight. You're going to take a half a metformin, 500 milligrams, only a half a tablet, because we call it TTT, which is treat to target. That means you might not have to have the maximum amount of dose. So we start you at a low dose. That low dose keeps you from really getting the side effects of diarrhea. So then eventually we'll advance you to 1 tablet after 14 days. You'll take a whole tablet at dinner time. Then we'll advance you on to the morning if your blood sugars are still running high. So like in the morning when you wake up, if your blood sugar is 120 or less, down to 80, then you wouldn't have to do anything but stay on that amount of metformin. But after 14 days, then if your blood sugars are still running high, because we'll be doing a meter download. What I mean by meter download, you will be bringing your meter into the clinic, and it's free of charge. You would check in at the receptionist desk and tell them you want to do a meter download. They would download your meter into the computer, and that meter download will be sent over to me. And what I do is I usually look at it, I study it, I see what your blood sugars are running all throughout the day. I develop a plan. I send that on to the doctor. Nothing I do is not approved by your doctor. Everything, we stay on the same page. So everything that I do, the doctor has to approve it. And then you'll get a call from me or from the doctor's back office to tell you to increase the medication, keep it the same. Okay. Do you have any other questions for me?
Not in terms of, using the device.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay. Well, if you do, like I said, I will be giving you a packet with all the information I have in, plus some more. And another very important thing we always want to mention to you is what we have is called the Rules of 15. What I mean by the Rules of 15 is when you have a low blood sugar, that would be less than 70. Say you wake up in the morning time and you have a 65. You're a little bit shaky, sweaty, a little jittery, nervous. Then what you want to do is you want to, what we call is treat yourself. Now that you know that you have a 65, you need to treat yourself by, and that other 15 is 15 grams of carbs. You want to have something like juices. It cannot be diet. Everything has to be with sugar. So you will always keep 4 ounces of juice, like the little juice boxes, maybe at your bedside, in your purse, in your car. And you will also want to look at, if you do milk, some people do whole milk, 1%, 2%, any type of whole milk you would do 4 ounces. If you did non-fat milk, you would do 8 ounces. If you keep candy, hard candy, you would keep like Werther's Originals or peppermint candy. You would have to eat 6 to 7 of those. You want to chew those up, not suck on them, because you want the sugar to get in your bloodstream right away. You don't want to use a Snicker or a chocolate bar because it has fat in it and it has to be broken down, and it takes longer for your blood sugar to go up. So I said, check your blood sugar, take 15 grams of carb. You wait 15 minutes and recheck your blood sugar again. It's very important that you recheck it because you want to make sure that your blood sugar is coming back up. Sometimes it's not, because you might need double the amount of carbs, depending on how low your blood sugar had gotten.
And if I don't, I risk it dropping more.
Yeah, you risk it dropping more. And you could treat yourself 3 times. After the 3rd time, if your blood sugar is still dropping, you need to go to the emergency room. If it's dropping low, you have to call 911. Don't drive yourself.
Okay.
Because you risk a very high risk. Anything else? Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I hope this was enough to get you started. But like I said, my business card will be available in the packet, and also all the stuff we went over. There will be a booklet, and we also will be signing you up for Living Well with Diabetes classes. Those are classes that the first one is going to teach you the importance of checking your blood sugar and how the medication works. The second class is taught by a registered dietitian, and they will go over your diet and everything with you. The third one is the prevention, and the fourth one is complications of diabetes. So.
And I'm instructed to check my blood sugar every day.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yes. And so what are you going to do? What is our action plan? So
I'm going to check my blood sugar daily.
How many times a day?
I would say twice a day.
Okay.
Once for my fasting.
Yes. Before.
So like as soon as I wake up in the morning. And then, the second would be
before dinner.
Before dinner.
Yeah. So what happens?
Usually.
The reason why you need to check your blood sugar twice a day is because that will let us know if the medication is working. So when you wake up in the morning, it's like a fasting blood sugar. So then that way we'll know if you're coming within the range that we're trying to reach of 80 to 120 when you wake up. That's our goal. So then if you are still running high, then we need to continue to advance the medication a little bit farther. But the other reason why you have to have two sets of numbers is because without two sets of numbers, neither your doctor or myself can adjust any medications because we're not sure of what your blood sugars are running.
Or how it's regulated.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Any more
All right.
questions?
I believe that's it.
Thank you very much for your time. Is this doctor?